So this is a list of perfect squares and perfect cubes. There were a couple of corrections, like this one should be the cube root of 1000 is 10. And this one should be the cube root of 1331. I have no idea why they got switched around like that. And this one should be 729. The rest look like they're okay. Okay. So when you simplify a square root, what you're doing is finding the largest possible square, or if you simplify a cube root, largest possible cube that divides evenly into your radicand. All right, so when I'm looking at the square root of 12, okay, I want to figure out what numbers, which of my squares, if any, can divide evenly into that 12. So starting with where 12 is located, 12 is between 9 and 16. So I'm going to see if 12 can be divided by 9. Can't be. But can 12 be divided by 4? Yeah. 4 times what number is 12? Okay, so that's 3. All right, what is the square root of 4? It's 2. And the 3 is not a square. So what's going to stay underneath? Okay, square root of 48. So I'm going to find 48 follows right in here. Okay, so I'm going to see if 48 can be divided by 36. No. Try 48 divided by 25. No. Try 48 divided by 16. That one's a yes. And that is 16 times 3, because 48 divided by 16 is 3. And the square root of 16 is 4, so it's going to come out of the radical, and the 3 is going to stay underneath. Okay, square root of 40. Again, that falls here in between 36 and 49. 40 is not divisible by 36 or 25. So when I mean divisible, does it get a whole number when you divide? 40 is not divisible by 16, because that's 2.5. 40 is not divisible by 9, because that's 4.4 repeating. 40 is divisible by 4. Okay, 4 times what number is 40? That's 10. 4 is 2. And the 10 is going to stay underneath. Okay, and our last one, 32. 32 falls in here. So I want to divide 32 by 25. That's not whole. 32 by 16, that one is. (32) divided by 16 is 2. Square root of 16 is 4. And you leave the 2 underneath. When you're dealing with square roots of variables, you divide the exponents by the index. So you're figuring out how many sets of the index that can be taken out. All right, so remember, if you don't have an index, it's an automatic 2. All right, so I'm taking the exponent 2 and dividing it by the index 2. That's 1. So that means the square root of x squared is x, which makes sense because the square root is a number times itself that produces your value. Is x squared. Okay, cube root of x cubed. Divide the exponent 3 by the index 3. So that's 1. So the cube root of x cubed is x to the 1. Again, that makes sense because x times x times x is x cubed. Okay, square root of x to the 6th. Divide the exponent 6 by the index 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. So the square root of x to the 6th is x cubed. Remember, that's what number times itself produces your value. cubed times x cubed. Remember, when you multiply by the same base, you add your exponents. There's where your x to the 6th is. And last but not least, the cube root of x to the 12th. Divide the exponent 12 by the index 3. So the cube root of x to the 12th is x to the 4, which again, if you work that out, x to the 4th times itself 3 times. When you multiply by the same base, you add your exponents. Here's your x to the 12th. Right, so now we're adding in variables, just continuing practice. The square root of 49x squared. So 49 is a square. Its square root is 7. And if I take the exponent 2 and divide it by 2, that's 1. So the square root of x squared is x to the 1. Okay, again, this makes sense because if I take 7x and I multiply it by 7x, 7 times 7 is 49, and x times x is x squared. All right, 98. 98 falls in here. So you want to see if 98 is divisible by 81. It's not. By 64, it's not. It is by 49. And the square root of 49 is 7, and the 2 stays underneath. Cube root of 64. It's right there. Cube root of 64 is 4. 120x to the 4th. All right, so 160 or 120 falls here. All right, so we want to divide, not by 100, that didn't work. Neither does 81. $64 didn't work. 49 doesn't. 36 doesn't. 25 doesn't. 16 doesn't. 9 doesn't. So my last one is 4. 4 does. So that's 30. My exponent is even, so I'm going to leave it alone. The square root of 4 is 2. 30 is not a square, so it's going to stay. Divide the exponent 4 by the index 2. So the square root of x to the 4th squared. And the 30 is going to stay underneath. All right, we've already done 48. We did it on the other side. That was 16, 3. And then your x to the 6th is an even exponent, so I'm going to leave that alone. Square root of 16 is 4. 3 is going to stay. And then your x to the 6th, divide exponent by index. Square root of x to the 6th, x cubed. And the 3 stays underneath. And then negative 512 is one of our cubes. Its cube root is negative 8.